Mr. Chairman, Mrs. Wilson, thank you for coming today. What happened to you is deadly serious. You were the victim of a national security breach. If this was a law enforcement context, something I'm familiar with, it would be equivalent to disclosing the identity of an undercover police officer who's put his life on the line and the lives of all those who help that officer. Our job on this committee is to find out how the breach happened. Now, I'd like to show you a chart that we've prepared on the committee. You'll see it up on the screens, and we're putting it up here on paper. That chart is a graphic depiction of all the ways that your classified CIA employment was disclosed to White House officials and then to the press. Every colored block on that chart is an individual, and every arrow shows a disclosure of classified information. That classified information was your CIA employment status, and the arrows are based on the testimony in Mr. Libby's criminal case and press reports. This chart shows over 20 different disclosures about your employment. Let me ask you, looking at this chart, are you surprised that so many people had access to the classified information about your CIA employment?
Yes, I am, Congressman, and I'm also surprised at how carelessly you used it.
What was your expectation about how the government would handle the classified information about your work and status?
My expectation, Congressman, was that as of all CIA operations officers, every officer serving undercover, that senior government officials would protect our identity. We all take oaths to protect classified information and national security.
Prior to the time that you learned that your status had been disclosed, you never authorized anyone to disclose your status, did you?
Absolutely not.
And no one ever approached you and asked for permission to disclose any classified information about you?
No.
Vice President Cheney never approached you and asked if he had your permission to disclose your status, did he?
No.
Karl Rove never approached you and asked whether he had your permission to disclose your status, did he?
No.
Now, this isn't even a complete picture because, as you can see on this chart, we don't know, for example, who told Karl Rove your status. There's a black box up there, and it says unknown. And there are two arrows from that, one pointing to Vice President Cheney and one pointing to Karl Rove. So that's an unanswered question right now. Now, I can imagine that you followed the proceedings and the press pretty closely over the past few years, have you not?
Yes.
Do you have any theories about who told Karl Rove about your status?
No, I do not. There was much evidence introduced in the Libby trial that provides quite a bit, but I have no. It would just be guesses.
Well, that's what this committee's investigation is all about, following all the links in the chain from their sources to their destination. Now, it's been reported that Mr. Rove had a discussion with Chris Matthews about you, and the report was that Mr. Rove told Mr. Matthews, Valerie Plame is fair game. You recall that?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to ask you to forget for a moment that he was talking about you. Imagine that he was talking about another undercover agent working on sensitive issues, and that undercover agent's life was on the line. Do you have a reaction to that?
Absolutely. This happened to me, but I like to think I would feel just as passionately if it had happened to any of my former colleagues at the CIA.
One final question. Is there any circumstance that you can think of that would justify leaking the name of an undercover agent?
No, Congressman.
Thank you very much. I yield back.
Thank you, Mr. Hodes.